today is very auspicious because I started exactly 6 years ago. In fact, 6 years ago yesterday. Is it the second today? Yeah.
Yes.
So my message to you is, all you have to have is a bit of determination that you're going to do it, and people will join you. So I couldn't stand that down that fence there. People threw rubbish over every day, and it was piled high. It was very scummy, and then they sprayed herbicide on it. They're not supposed to use herbicide on here. This is a nature reserve. They sprayed herbicide all over it. Herbicide is a chemical that kills plants. It also kills bees. Okay? So first thing we did was campaign to stop them using herbicides on the park, which is a nature reserve. Okay? So it was so horrible, and I thought, right, I'm going to clear it up. So I started on the 1st of August. Luckily I've got an estate car. I would fill it up every day, do about 4 panels. Now I did 26 trips to the tip, and while I'm doing it, this guy wandered along called Brian, who had absolutely no confidence at all or anything, but he had the confidence to say, oh, what you're doing, can I help? And he is now our treasurer. We set up a charity, now our treasurer, and he's actually written a special bespoke program for small charities to run their accounts, and that will be able to help little organisations all around the world, because it's much simpler than all the big accounting systems. So it just shows you that you can get people involved. And when I cleared all the rubbish away, I thought to myself, I want to sow wildflowers. Now my mother, I grew up in the 60s, and my mother knew the name of every single wildflower. She'd be very annoying because she'd say, what's the name of that? And I'd go, I don't know, even if I did, because I didn't, I wish I'd listened to her more. But I took in her love of wildflowers. And what I do know is that bees, we have over 200 species of solitary bee. We have at least do you want to ask me a question?
I have a flower at home. Flower at home.
Yes, a flower at home.
Yeah.
Oh, how lovely.
Sunflower,
Yeah, more flowers. Flower power, everybody.
Yes.
So, where was I? Yeah, and 24 species of bumblebee. Now, everybody loves bumblebees, don't they?
Yes.
Do you know that bumblebees only sting if they're really, really threatened? And they will tell you if you're frightening them, and they put their little arm up like that. Yeah? So if you ever see a bumblebee doing that, you step back and say, it's okay, buddy. I'm not going to hurt you. Okay? So, wild bees don't sting unless they really have to. So you don't have to be afraid of coming to the bee sanctuary. We don't have honeybees, because honeybees are domestic bees, and they produce about 30,000 to 60,000 bees per hive, and they totally take all the pollen and the nectar from an area, and the wild bees, they're unfair competition. Not only that, if the beekeeper is not a hygienic beekeeper, they will spread diseases, they will spread viruses to the wild bee population. So we don't object to beekeepers, we want them to understand the impact that they have on the wild bee population, and not get too many, not get too greedy. It's about not being too greedy, isn't it? Which is actually a good thing about life. How have we got into this situation with our planet? Greed. Okay. And I have a Muslim neighbour, and what I do know about the Muslim faith is it's about kindness, it's about kindness to animals, it's about looking after nature. So we're all in agreement, whatever religion, whatever, that we need to look after nature. Okay? So, right, so willing, but how do you do it? How do you create a bee sanctuary? The first thing is you stop using, what's your name? What did I say? What kills bees? Beginning with a C? Or a H? Yes, well done. So, yeah, no chemicals, right? And we do not see weeds as weeds. We will see sometimes populations of plants are too dominating, or they are not native to here and we need to, so we will pull them out, we will cut seed heads off. But we do not use chemicals to kill them. We just manage it very gently, okay? And the other thing we do is, if you want to create a wildflower meadow out of a grass meadow, you've got to mow the grass and take the mowings away. And you've got to plant a really magic little wildflower called yellow rattle, which is parasitic to the grass, so it will stop the grass being able to compete with wildflowers. It's as simple as that. You do not need to spray chemicals all over it to kill everything that's there. You can develop your wildflower meadow. So we had here just a huge, biggest bramble patch in Manchester, I think, which stretched over to here. It was all bramble, and we had free chippings and logs because we got in touch with the tree surgeons, and they drop off logs and chippings to us to this day. We use them all the time. So we decided if we're going to grow wildflowers, we need people not to trample, right? Put your hands up if you just trample over everything, yeah? No, you're all very, very careful. Yeah, well, we can all be tramplers, and it doesn't go with growing wildflowers, really. So we needed to make paths. So we made paths, and we chopped back the bramble. We're still chopping back the bramble to this day, because it tries to make a return all the time. And we created lots of different habitats. So we dug ponds, and it's a landfill, so we could only dig ponds down the side. We picked out all the fly tipping, so we had bags and bags and bags of rubbish every day for about 6 months, and then there's no rubbish on there now. No rubbish. Odd few things get dropped, but we got rid of the rubbish, and even if you just get rid of the litter, it makes the place look far better. It makes it look like it might be loved rather than it's just a wasteland.
Yeah,
Okay,
true.
so I'm gonna 6 years on. So in the beginning, a lot of resistance and a lot of vandalism, blah 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 blah. 6 years on, we've got a meeting with all the big bugs, Nature England and all that, to tell them how we did it. So this is what we always wanted. I always believe that volunteers are the key, because we can do things gently. We're not driven by time limits, so we don't have to just slash everything. We can pick out things and do it gently. And yeah, and we're building up the skills among us. People are joining with different skills. We're teaching different skills. They run courses on here in hedge laying, and what's the other one? Michael, look at his phone. Michael's one of our volunteers. Hello. And he's heard me talk to too many times. That's ridiculous. But we can learn the skills. We teach each other. So if you join us and we meet on a Sunday and a Tuesday, we'll set you off with simple tasks, and then you will gradually learn. If you don't know what a bramble is, you'll know what a bramble is by the end of the first session, and then we will teach you slowly as you go along. And then, being as part of the volunteer group, you can just take yourselves out here on your own if you want. And a lot of people, we all have mental health problems. I have mental health problems. I have depression. So if you have a mental health problem, nature
Yes.
is so curative, and you can come out here and you can do little bits of work on your own, and you can have a period of contemplation, and it's so lovely here. I cry when I come back and see it. So I'm going to take you around and show you a bit, but I'm not going to be able to, not everybody's going to be able to hear what I say, because you've got such a big group. So what I suggest you do, Michael, could you take a, is anybody scared of dogs? No? If you're scared of dogs, come with me. But Michael, you could take a group.
Majority of people.
Yeah, do you mind? No. So Michael joined us last October, so he's a relative newcomer, but he's also got amazing skills in building fences with hazel, and you'll see some of that, and that has all happened this year. Okay, so full of rubbish. Okay, so this was the first tree that we freed up from bramble, and the bramble tends to go right over and drape it without 50 pieces. So cutting the bramble out, I only had a pair of secateurs. We didn't have any tools, but it was very compulsive because when I freed that tree, I saw that tree. I thought, let me get to that tree and free that tree. So it pushes you on, and you get compelled to do it. What you're left with underneath the bramble is a very sterile piece of land that has no beetles or spiders or anything that you'd expect. It's just very sterile, but it's brilliant for starting off wildflower meadows, because remember I told you can make a grass meadow into wildflower meadow. This way you didn't start with grass, and that's good. Now all the area we cleared, we treated very much in the same way, but they've all turned out very different. This is a very grass-rich piece of the Bisant tree, but I can tell you has the most butterflies, because what butterflies like is flower-rich grassland. And we have other areas that are entirely wildflowers, and the bees, I love those, but you'll see most of the butterflies on here, okay? So although we treated, and this is all landfill, so we don't know what's underneath, except very soon underneath you'd come across fridges and freezers, or industrial sludges, or asbestos. So we don't want to disturb the surface. We don't want to be digging on this too much. So we put ponds down that side because it's where the drainage is, so we could safely dig there. But this, you don't want to disturb it. Turning it into wild space is the best use of it. And the council tried to build on the sister tip to this. This is Highfield Tip. There was a sister tip on Knutsford Vale. They tried to build on that, and they wasted £4 million. The only reason we know that because we had to do a Freedom of Information request to try and build on it, but the builders refused, because when you drill down, they were coming across all sorts of toxic chemicals. Because remember, Manchester is an ex-industrial city. There's so many heavy metals and industrial sludges, special hospital waste which will contain radioactivity, asbestos. There was an asbestos company that used to actually dump on these clay pits. So they didn't line the clay pits. They just from the 1968 onwards, they just dumped and dumped and dumped into these clay pits, which all the houses in Levenshulme were built from the clay here. Yeah, there was a brickworks the other side, and this area had a special license for all the horrible stuff. So did Knutsford Vale, and so did an area where Doman Mechanics was. We were the dirty tips. All three of them for Manchester and Greater Manchester were in Levenshulme. So they owe us, really. They do. So, yeah, well, people didn't, they knew about asbestos, but they weren't telling people. And they were still building with asbestos till late in the 80s, I think, or 70s. Anyway, they capped it very badly in 1982 to 83. And then it was all grassland with lots of burnt out vehicles on it. They declared it a country park. And I moved into my house in 1988. And I loved it there, even though there was lots of problems, lots of fly tipping, lots of burnt out vehicles, because it had this sort of magic feel of a big open space. And let's say 40 years later, all the trees have grown, and we have a mix of woodland and wild and meadow or grassland and bramble. So bramble is magnificent. You can see we still keep some of the bramble because it is great on the side and the top. It's just sterile in the middle. So if you can use it within your landscape as a habitat, it's really, really good. Yeah, so we don't try to get rid of everything, start again. We kept all the trees that were coming up, but now after 6 years, we have to think about some little saplings coming up. We might have to move them or take them out because There's this great campaign to plant trees everywhere, but they're planting them in very other habitats which are very valuable. Grassland is very valuable. Flower-rich grassland is very valuable for insects. So woodland is just one habitat. There's lots of habitats. So our job as volunteers, and we learn more and more and more about different habitats, is to create as much variety as possible. But we didn't have to try that hard, because although we treated each piece of land more or less the same, different wildflowers have taken hold there, different species. And yeah, and in the beginning I was thinking, oh, we'll have to keep mowing this to get rid of all the grass. No, the grass is great. And the other thing about landfill is, because they just covered it with rubbish, basically, it's very poor soil. Actually, very poor soil is really good for wildflowers, because they can compete with everybody else. If you look behind you, is that my phone? Can keep doing that? I'll have to stop that. That was the old roadway. So the soil on that bit of grass is only about 3-4 inches deep. Yeah. But we've turned it into our flower meadow, and a guy called Steve and his crew come and scythe it every year, because scything's the best way to cut grass. And they take the grass away, which is very important. And each year we find a few more species in it. Yeah. So
What do you mean by that? You mean they cut it? Because I'm just wondering, when I'm seeing all of this, and I'm aware it's sort of like a wild meadow type of thing. Do you mean by they cut back?
Yeah, they
cut back.
Scything. Does everybody know what scything? If I scything is this. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
You see that happening all over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the best way. It's the least damaging to wildlife to cut grass for hay or whatever you're going to use it for. And we're using it. We're bringing back a lot of the old skills to look after this land. So we brought back hedge laying, coppicing, scything, because they look after the land much better than machines. Yeah. And by scything and removing the organic matter, you make the soil poorer, which favors the wildflowers, if you see what I mean. But we manage each little section of this. We decide, oh, it's ready to be cleared, and we might go in and we might use a brush cutter, which is a bit like a scythe, because we don't have the skills of scything. Or we might just pull everything out by hand, take it away to make the soil poorer. So next year it'll be even richer in wildflowers. Yeah. So it's very, very simple, and it was a lot of hard work in the first years, sort of creating the spaces. But now it's just, what we do now is we do a bit of guerrilla gardening. So we're going elsewhere and doing things, and we manage this area much more gently than we ever have. So we used to decide, oh, we've got too much rose bay willow herb, let's pull it out, no, let it grow in one patch. No, now we're not doing that. But we will cut off the seed heads of stuff that we don't want to take over, like dock. Yeah. Take the seed head, put it in a bag, take it off the bee sanctuary. Cleaver is another terrible one. Until it's seeded, it makes really good compost. So yeah, it's just little things we do. It's not like a mega thing. So if you hire a contractor, they would just come in and we don't do it like that. So we made all these paths, and we came up here. We started going across there with the cutters, and then we wanted to do this path down here. And then it was 2019, 2020. And what happened in 2020 was the lockdown. So we just organized our first open day, and we were going to sow lots of seed, and the lockdown happened. So I think it was probably 3 days before the actual lockdown, I think that 21st. So people still came, we still sowed the seed. Yeah.
Nice COVID open space.
Yeah. And there were no rules then, it was just, stay away from everybody. And then it didn't rain until July because of climate change. We're just messing up our patterns. And I used to think to myself, well, the birds are having a really good feed on all our very expensive wildflower seed that we've sown. But you know, by the autumn, things have started to happening, and that was the first big lesson. Is it's not instant gratification. It's something that will be much deeper than that. If you start a project now, like me, and you're standing 6 years later, how do you think that feels? And this is it. It's about growing back nature on our planet, and we are also fighting climate change. And so one of the things that we have to do is to build in climate resilience. So one of the people we had recently had a load of experts come down, and he said, "Oh, you've got wild carrot here. It isn't really a local plant." And so what happened was we buy wildflower seed mix, and wild carrot is in that. And my answer to that would be, we have 26 species in this wildflower mix. The ones that are suited now in 2025 to this land, they will be the ones that thrive, and that is resilience. That is saying, okay, it might be slightly changing the species population, but at least we have nature, at least we have the flowers. So yeah, so it's
So it could look different in 10 years.
every year you'll find that the different areas look very different. So in one year, wild celery totally dominated this area here. Only 1 year. Next year, it was moon daisies. It was oxeye daisies, we call them. And then on that year, but they'll pop up somewhere else.
Can you eat wild
Probably can. Yeah, there is books about. There's a whole area of foraging, which is another area that I have mixed feelings about. I once came on here, and I love all the fungi that come up, and we get a lot more fungi because of the chipping from the logs. And this guy came up and said, "Oh," he said, "I love the bee sanctuary. It's got all this fungi." And I said, "Yes." And he said, "I come and pick it all every morning." And I was so stunned. I didn't say, "I kill you. How dare you not leave it for other people to see that how exciting it is? You're just so selfish. You take it home to cook." So wild foraging, somebody who's an ethical wild forager will just take a little bit of something, and they won't take the whole lot. So yeah, but we do have people who forage. And the other thing about foraging on here, if you think what's underneath, I would be less inclined to. So we leave everything for the insects really, and the birds. And we've done more about monitoring the birds than we have about the insects, because our bee observer got ill, and so we never really followed the insects. So we've just had a biodiversity blitz, and there's a report coming out. So I think they found some really interesting little bugs and things.
What would you say are your busiest months in regards volunteering? When do you think you would need volunteers?
Okay, so the hardest work takes place in the autumn and winter, because we have to clear fields. We might decide to create a new area and all those things, and all these fields are full of bramble. So we'll need to go and take all that bramble out. So that's the time when it's busiest. And then we're also sowing and planting and mowing. Yeah, all these things taking place. The summer is just a time to sit and watch, and maybe keep the paths a bit safe. And yeah, we don't trample in the fields. We're very good at trampling, you see. So we have to say, no, let's not trample now. Let's do that in a month's time. It could grow a few more feet, that bramble, but we'll cut it back in a month's time. And you have to make those decisions based on how happy the insects are, how productive it is, how lovely it looks not being trampled, and things like that. But our priority is not people, it's making it a perfect place for nature, really, and people benefit from that. But that's not the prime mover, is to make a perfect place for bees and other insects to thrive. So this year we've had loads and loads of butterflies, which lots of people have. Last year we had no butterflies because the weather was so terrible. So we made big decisions around how we managed it last autumn. So we didn't do a lot of clearing because we thought, well, we need to not clear because any insects that are there, we may destroy them if we go in and clear, things like that. Okay, so I'm going to take you around now, and yeah, I'll just stop by the. Well, with luck, our dragonfly will be around. This is probably our most successful pond for wildlife. So we have lots of newts, lots of frogs. We have a resident dragonfly at the moment that's very territorial. And my dragonflies have they're like a bit like a policeman with their beat. They have a beat. Yeah. So at some point you'll have the dragonfly around here, flies around here, goes back, flies around here, and then goes off to the next thing to go. So it'd be lovely to have even more dragonflies. We had loads of dragonflies in the autumn because they were all coming here to lay their eggs. We have to try and stop the dogs going in because they've got a flea treatment on them, which kills all invertebrates in the pond. So we tried it with dead hedge, which is just dead material lying around. Then Michael's built this, which is amazing. Yeah. Yeah. And this is all made from wood that is coppiced further over in the park. So all the wood was cut already. You just had to go and collect it. And we screwed, you don't usually use screwed in this, but we screwed this top on to stop young people coming and pulling it all apart. But, you know, we had loads of vandalism over the years, but it's actually very little at the moment. So as you can see, there's lots of biodiversity in the pond, lots of pond plants and plants growing by. And so it's a lot of stuff inside. When we clear the ponds, we'll clear the ponds in the autumn because otherwise they go rank. You know, hopefully we'll find lots of beetles and other things. Had loads of tadpoles, and they all turned into baby frogs. So if I were to go in there, start walking around, they start jumping out. But the baby frogs go all over, and then the newts eat the tadpoles and eat the baby frogs. So we know we've got newts. Oh, there's an adult frog there.
Oh yes, just here.
Yeah, yeah. So he's saying, "What are you lot doing?" Yeah. So if you were to stand here for a while, you'd see everything. You'd see a lot. It's quite difficult to see the newts, but we have one volunteer called Pascal who can see them every time she comes, and she'll point them out to me. And I'm so resentful that I can stare in there for hours and I can't see them. But anyway, yeah. So we have 3 ponds. We've got the one at the top, which is the tiniest one, and then we have one more down the bottom, which is much bigger than it looks because we made a bank of gravel and sand in it. He's done amazing job with that. He has. I call him Michael the Magnificent, and then I say, you're Michael the Magnificent, but don't get big head.
So do you cut back on the path? So this would take over the path, wouldn't it?
Yes. Yeah. We do. Yeah, you'll get bramble growing over and everything. But yeah, we do.
And you supply the tools of practice and the gloves, or is everyone?
Yeah, we've got a volunteer centre. You know, after 6 years, we've got a volunteer centre. We've got a yard out the back with all the shovels and spades and forks in. So this is a lovely pond, which is a lot more private. We don't know what's going on in there. We leave it, and that's the bank here, and it's developing its own ecology. It's quite shaded, so we might make a decision this year to cut a couple of the branches there to let a bit more light in. But it's quite nice to have ponds that have different amounts of light because you're going to get a different amount of creatures. Now this is meadow bedstraw, I think that's called. Yeah, that's sort of taken over at the moment. And then we found this stuff is absolutely brilliant for moths, particularly a moth called the giant hawk moth. And so we quite like it. If we thought it was taking over a bit, what we do is come and through here and pull it all out because it's forming seed now. So we may make that decision or we may not. We may decide, yeah, we don't mind it doing that. Certainly take dock seeds, collect dock seeds. Oh yeah, that's teasel. If you want to have goldfinches in your garden, you grow teasels. And my mum used to make little hedgehogs out of them.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Make little clothes for them and everything. So this area is a little bit boring at the moment. So last year we started collecting ferns from our own garden and planting ferns. So the idea is we'll gradually fill it with ferns. But you know, you can do big projects, you can do little projects, you can do little projects that take a number of years. Old friend B there, she died at the grand age of 92. And actually I was able to be with her because although they stopped me going to the hospital with her, when they ascertained she didn't have COVID, I was allowed to go in because she was dying.
Oh, very
They
lucky.
said you don't matter anymore because she's dying anyway. So I went in, and yes, I was so lucky. This is a new little area. So this area here that Michael partitioned off, that was a bramble patch there. See where all those yellow flowers are? That was all bramble. We cut it back this winter, and we sowed the seed. So that's the wildflower seed, and it's been when that dies off this winter, next summer it will look totally different. So you see the wildflower seed the first year, and then whatever's going to take it over starts to operate. Yeah.
It looks like it's been flattened. It's like flat, isn't it?
Yeah, it hasn't been flattened. It's just all the bramble's been cut out. So the bramble would have been, you know, over like that. Yeah, and we had a fire starting. So they set fire here and over there. So they burnt our arch. We'd made an arch and they burnt it. So we're going to have to do something about that this winter. But yeah. Yes, intentional. No, intentional. It's incredibly scary when something like that happens because you think they might come back and do it again. Fortunately, here was an amazing thing. We'd forgotten to lock the gates the day before, so the fire engine could come straight in, cut up, and put them out. Otherwise, it would have set light to the wood. So that was just a miraculous thing that happened. And so you can see the difference between where those yellow flowers, that was all bramble patch as well. This is all stuff. It's had loads of flowers in it, including this flower here. So I've just spotted that. That's very special flower. Like, I'll show you. Now I told you about the magic wildflower. That's yellow rattle there. And this one's called red Bartzia. And they both do the same thing. They both control the grass. So that's just fantastic for me to see that this morning. I knew it was on other bits of Highfield, but to see it here, a number of plants, means this area is starting to come on. Now, we didn't start to manage this area because this is the edge of the bee sanctuary. We didn't really start to manage it till maybe a year and a half ago. And we cleared out the back. So we've got lots of biodiversity at the back. And we've got stuff growing here now. This was all just grass. And now it's lots of things growing in it. So we definitely mow this autumn and take a lot of stuff off. But now it's got red Bartzia and it's got yellow rattle in it. It'll just take off as a wildflower area. And we're used to thinking of thistles as being a terrible weed, but they're the most brilliant things for bees and butterflies there is. So please see them as special, amazing plants, not as weeds anymore. I've been re-educated. So we used to mow the edges of this here just to go into the park. And Michael said to me, I said, shall we mow? He said, no, let's not mow because it actually looks nice like it is. So we're not mowing this as much anymore. We're just mowing it to get the wildflowers, not for so people can say, oh, it's a nice mowed thing. Got to get people away from seeing everything as manicured, as being beautiful, to actually seeing nature as being beautiful. One last thing I'm going to show you. Oh no, two last things I'm going to show you. So I've got to go. Sorry?
Milk this one.
Right, okay, so put iNaturalist on your phone. Have you got iNaturalist?
iNaturalist.
Yeah. And what you can do with iNaturalist, iNaturalist, yeah, iNaturalist is fantastic because it builds the World Biodiversity Database. So you just take iNaturalist and Merlin, get Merlin for birds, but iNaturalist for creatures. There you are. You literally take a picture. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. And then I say, yeah, that's a good picture. And then it will suggest what it is. Okay? You view suggestions. So it thinks it's either, it's not got a very good idea what it is. Okay? So what I would do is I would take a number of pictures and go, take a number of different pictures, keep adding to that same thing. And then you'll gradually, but what happens is, you can press one of those and say, yeah, I think it's that. But those photographs go through to people, experts, who will actually definitively identify it. Yeah. This one here looks like a thistle, but that's hasn't got any prickles. That's called common knapweed. And that's common knapweed. And that has been glorious this year. And that brings so many insects, honestly.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so nice.
Yeah.
He was going to.
So I should have asked you to put iNaturalist on your phones before you came, and then
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
know. We were just
yeah, because you can go around here. This is called, I think this is called henbane, for instance. I didn't know that till the other day.
I've not seen that. What's it called again?
I think it's called henbane, and it was pointed out to me the other day. So we all have our own little pet projects. This little area here has been my pet project, and it's been very, very boring, very grassy, very.
And so can you search it for me?
And I didn't just mow it last year. I scarified it, which is you rake it very heavily, and then I sowed it with yellow rattle, and we've had loads of yellow rattle, most of which has set into seed. So you're very welcome to come here and collect yellow rattle seed and try and make your own wildflower meadow. It's a bit, yeah. Actually, they actually rattle inside the seed packet, but that's what the seed looked like. They look a bit like parsley seed. Yeah.
They probably fall back and grow again.
Yeah. So what happens with yellow rattle? It drops the seed all around it, and then it comes up in a huge clump, which is what they're doing a bit over there. And then it makes a bare patch, and the wildflowers move in. So yeah. So this has come on leaps and bounds just because I did that one process last autumn. Yeah. Yeah. Morning.
Morning.
Right, I'm going to have to go now because I've got to go visit somebody in hospital. Oh, there's one more place I want to show you. So I'm going to walk fairly rapidly, but after I go, you can just wander about, can't you? Wander about, yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah, I saw it on the map.
It's a
They've got
joke.
beautiful-
It's a joke.
Oh, really? There's no waterfall?
It's a little bit of an old broken weir.
Oh, dear.
That it was called that as a sort of ironic statement,
Bluebell.
but people come to
area.
see it.
Oh,
So
okay.
really we should take it off. But
Yes, it
yeah.
looks like really interesting. Like there's something really nice.
It-
Nettles, the good old nettles.
Yeah.
And
This is the whole park is supposed to be a nature reserve. Has never been managed as a nature reserve, but we're starting to manage it better, and you're seeing more and more wildlife. So we got
amazing that you get
badgers and foxes. I've seen a little deer on here twice.
really
No rabbits. I'd like some rabbits actually.
like
No, it's funny. There's no rabbits in this area of
Yeah,
Manchester.
so loose here,
I
they're
think
like
there's some
this.
in North Manchester, isn't there? Yeah.
So we've got honey here.
No,
Bee sanctuary.
no.
There's no honey.
We don't keep honeybees.
Oh right.
Do you remember me saying that at the beginning? We don't support the. We're not about. We're about wild bees. Right. Just come down here. That's one of our bee hotels.
So those
This,
mushrooms are
by the way, this is hogweed, but it's not giant hogweed. So the reason you can tell the difference is because giant hogweed is much bigger and it has lots of purple splotches on it.
okay.
Incredibly dangerous.
Oh,
So, but hogweed is great.
they have milk thistle. All these thistles.
Yes,
I wonder if any of them.
we've got various different kinds of thistle. We've got common thistle. Yeah, so get your app on your phone
Okay.
and then you can be sorting them
Yes.
all out in your head.
I've got this one. I don't know what that is. Huge, big ball.
Oh, that is wild carrot.
Wild carrot.
Yeah, she's got a carroty type of leaf. Right, this is one of our more recent wildflower meadows that we hacked out of a bit of bramble, and it looks totally different every year, and it's been amazing for butterflies. So even though it's only, I think it's third season, it's doing its job, which is bringing in the insects and providing them with things to eat by the caterpillars, with flowers to provide honey and nectar. But obviously caterpillars would be the butterflies. But yeah, it's just a haven for insects, which is what we aim at. And yeah, and you see this area again is so totally different from. So that's what you want. If you want biodiversity, you want to see variation everywhere. This is a plant called meadowsweet, and it's what they used to make mead out of and things. And that can be very invasive, but we've managed to. We're not had to control it. Might have to eventually, but it's doing okay. See, we've had all these wildflowers setting seed. Yeah. So if you come a couple of months earlier, yeah, you'll see different wildflowers there. Come in the spring, come in the late spring, come in the early summer, come in the late summer. You'll see different things. Right, I'm going to have to dash.
No worries. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, well, it's lovely to meet you. Do you want to come back again? Well, you can bring yourselves back, but if you want to see me, you can always contact me.
What time do you lock this place?
It's open all the time.
Hours.
It's part of the park.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank
well,
you.
it's lovely to meet you all.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.